There we are. That's the Pippi spirit right there, looking fantastic. Oh, yes. All right, ready for story time. So, are you sitting comfortably? Do you have your cup of tea? This one, it's a new mug. Well, it's not new. I've had it a long time, but it's new to you. I'm talking about mugs. Oh. It says dream on it. That's why I like it. It's my dream mug. Okay, are you sitting comfortably? Find your comfy spot. Here we go. So where were we yesterday? They'd eaten pancakes, and then, they had been thing finders, right? They'd gone thing finding, and luckily they had left the man asleep on his front lawn and had not put him in a rabbit cage and fed him dandelion leaves. So Pippi had just found a can that did not have cookies in it. So it was a cookie-free can and an empty spool of thread, and she was very excited because she was going to rush home and make a bubble blower with it. Right? That's where we were at. So they were just going to go home at that very minute and invent a bubble blower with an empty spool of thread. However, just at that moment, the gate of one of the cottages nearby opened, and a boy came running out. He looked scared, and that was no wonder, because behind him, head over heels and chasing, were 5 other boys. And they caught up with him and they pushed him against a fence. "Oh," said Annika, "that's Willie. How can they be so mean to him?" "Well, it's that awful Bent," said Tommy. "He is a ringleader, and it's 5 against 1. Well, that wasn't very nice, was it? So they were chasing Willie, the gang of 5, and they pushed him up against the fence. And that's not very kind at all. And I have a feeling that Pippi is going to have something to say about that. Sorry, I'm distracted by this feather. Oh, golly. 1 second. Just got to fix it with this pin. There we go. Pippi went up to the boys. Oh, I think they should be a little bit nervous. Pippi's not very happy. Pippi went up to the boys and tapped Bent on the back of his shoulder with her finger. Boop, boop, boop. Hello there, she said. "What's the big idea? Are you trying to make hash out of little Willie with all 5 of you jumping on him and pushing him around like that?" Well, Bent turned around and saw a little girl he had never seen before. A wild-looking little stranger who dared to tap him on the shoulder. And he stood there astonished for a moment, with his mouth gaping open. And then a broad grin, not a nice grin, spread over his face, and he said, boys, take a look at this strange-looking girl." That wasn't very nice, was it? No. Well, he has just chosen to have words with Pippi. And if he knew Pippi, he would just keep quiet. But he doesn't. He slapped his knees and he laughed, and in an instant they all flocked around Pippi, all except Willie, who wiped away his tears and cautiously went and stood beside Tommy. And of course, Tommy and Annika are very kind, and they stood right beside Willie so that he felt safe. And this is what the mean Bent said. Have you ever seen hair like hers? Red as fire, and look at her shoes. Can I borrow one to row in like a boat? I'd like to go out rowing, and I haven't a boat. And he took hold of one of Pippi's braids, poof, and dropped it instantly. Ouch! Oh, I burned myself. Then all 5 boys joined hands around Pippi, jumping up and down and shouting, "Redhead, redhead." That is not very kind. That's me saying that, not Pippi. Pippi stood in the middle of the ring, and she smiled in her friendliest way. In her friendliest way, because she's not at all scared of them, because really they're not being very kind, and she has a lot to say about that. And Bent, of course, thought that she would be really mad or cry or yell, but she didn't do anything like that because she really wasn't bothered by them. So when she did nothing at all except stand there, he gave her a little push. And just Pippi said, I don't think you're being very nice. And she lifted Bent in her strong arms, high in the air, just like that. She said, I don't think you're being very nice. Picked him up, and she carried him over to a birch tree and hung him over a branch, probably by his belly or the back of his shirt. There you go. Have a little think while you sit in that tree, she probably said. And then she went over to the next boy and she plopped him on a branch too. And then the next one she set on a gatepost outside a cottage. Whoop! Because remember, she's so strong she can pick up a horse, her porch horse. She's very strong. What did she do with the next one? The next one, she plopped him right over the fence and he landed in a flower bed. Ka-plop! Petals falling all over him. And the last one, she put him in a tiny toy cart that stood by the road. Plop! Then Pippi, Tommy, Annika, and Willie stood, and they looked at all of the boys for a while. And all the boys were absolutely speechless. And Pippi said, "You are not very kind. There's 5 of you and 1 of Willie, and you were mean to me. And please do not do that again. If you have something that you want to say to me about my bright red hair and my very big shoes and my sticking out braids, you can just come and talk to me about that. And if you have anything mean to say about Willie, you can talk to me about that too. Because being unkind on purpose to another human or a creature is not okay." So Bent and all the boys had nothing more to say to Pippi about her shoes or her hair or the way that she dressed. And off went Tommy and Annika and Pippi with a spool of empty thread in their hand back home. And I would just like to finish up today by saying, if you are feeling a little bit grumpy with anyone, usually it's because something else is going on underneath those feelings. So when we feel angry, sometimes it's a shield. And underneath we might be feeling a little bit sad or scared or misunderstood. And sometimes being angry is a good thing. If you see something that isn't right, it gives you that bit of fire like Pippi had. And it's much more mindful to say, I'm really feeling a bit grumpy about this right now. And I'm going to give myself a bit of time to think about it so I can figure out what's going on underneath why I'm feeling angry. And then hopefully you have a friend who will listen, or you can give yourself a hug while you figure it out, because you always have yourself and that little light. See you tomorrow. Bye. Thanks for being there. Bye.